Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and this is Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Monday, the 27th, or excuse me, the 25th day of October 2021. I've got my youngest son's birthday on my mind. His is on the 27th in 2 more days. So we just sent off some Halloween decorations and costume stuff to the kids, to the grandkids. So that should be fun for them. We were hoping to be able to take down a whole bunch of pumpkins, but I don't think we can really do that right now. We're real hesitant to travel. You know, if you have to stop and go to the bathroom somewhere or whatever. I mean, we're masked up, but still, you know, we don't really know where this variant is going, and we don't. And with our daughter-in-law being pregnant, we don't really want to introduce anything into that household that, you know, from over here or the trip over. So anyway, so we're not going to do that, but at least we can send some things and make their Halloween a little bit better, hopefully, getting something from Grandma and Grandpa. Well, I'm going to pull a rune here for today. It's Kenaz on this. We have a 7 energy, 7 numerology for today. 25 reduces to 7. 2 and 5 is 7. So we're talking observation and spirituality and witchcraft and balance, and basically taking a step back to let things settle out before you make any decisions about anything today. So that would be my recommendation for the numerology. The geomancy rune, let's do that. Kenaz, though, is the torch. It's the light of spirit. And you'll find if you look at the Elder Futhark, Kenaz is contained within so many of the runes, and I just think that it really reinforces the idea that runes are literally a language of spirit. So let's see, we have, oh, well, this is easy. We have Vaya right here. So new path or alignment. The typical keyword is way. It can also be journey. I just like to look upon it as setting your own course and making your own decisions and aligning a higher purpose, basically. So let me get my teacup out of the way here. Well, if this is your first time here, welcome. I talk a little bit and pull out the runes and shuffle, and then we get started on the cards part of the reading, the tarot part of the reading. Basically, what I like to do, though, is I like to have the runes be the significator or the overall theme, or set the tone for the reading. And then the cards typically follow from there. So basically, if we're looking at Kenaz and Vaya, then a new path is opening in full clarity. You should enter that path in full clarity. So again, on this 7 energy day, you know, step back and observe and be sure of what's going on before you jump in and do something. So those would be the 3 energies, I think, working there to set the tone for the rest of the reading. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do, again, for those of you who have never been here before, what I'm going to do is I'll do 3 cards of influence. The third card, if there is a card that represents an outcome, it's typically the third one in that row. And then followed by that, we'll do a card that challenges, and then a card that benefits. And for those of you also that are the first time here, I'm using the Rider-Waite deck. I don't think I usually ever say that, but it's usually pretty obvious once I show you the cards. Like, oh, she's using the Rider-Waite deck. So the first 3 cards are the Hermit, the card 9 of the Major Arcana, the 2 of Cups, and the 9 of Wands. So let's take a look at the Hermit. We have the Hermit. In fact, I have him up on my wall over there, but I don't think you can see it really well. You can see the bottom part of it, but not the top part. Anyway, that's the Hermit. He gets high above everything. He has this light of spirit. You can see the Merkaba here inside the lantern. And he's looking down upon creation. And he's getting away from everything. He's getting a higher perspective. And again, that aligns actually well with the 7 numerology for today of stepping back and observing and making sure you understand what's going on. But he also wants to be a little bit of an influence there as well with his lantern to sort of light the way for others. 9 is about endings and completion. It's also about spirituality and generosity. But what we're basically talking about with the Hermit is divine wisdom and withdrawal, silent counsel, inner focus. But going within, or in his case, getting above, but going within and understanding the greater message of what's going on. And again, that aligns very well with today's 7 numerology. Especially if you're seeking clarity about a new path that's opening, you really want to make sure that it doesn't affect your values, your sense of values or principles, and that you maintain that higher vibratory awareness when you're looking at it. In other words, don't let it devolve into the ego. The second card of the first 3 here, the cards of influence, is the 2 of Cups. We see a line of demarcation, and just so you know, I actually look at this like that was then, this is now, or this is now and this is the future, but it delineates a difference between one set of experiences and another. And here you see a man reaching toward the woman. They're both holding golden chalices, looking at each other lovingly, and realistically it looks like he's even taking a step toward her, in love and harmony and reciprocity. Here you have the winged sun and the caduceus that denotes healing. So something is needing to be healed today that may take higher self-awareness to actually get above the whole situation and understand what the real truth is about it. But the bottom line is that things need to be healed today. Now, either this is something within you, polarity that could be healed, it could be that, or it could be with you and someone else. Maybe there's been some issues where you need to, maybe there was an argument or some conflict or maybe just some uncomfortable feelings, and one person needs to take the initiative to reach out to the other person, I think. Now, either you're that person or you're the one that needs to be reached out to, but there could be something like that happening today. And the thing is, with Kenaz and Vaya, that could really open up a new path in terms of your relationship. But again, it comes from higher awareness, getting above it all, seeing the bigger picture. You know, we tend to react, and when we do that, we don't necessarily understand that maybe what we're witnessing and reacting to is reflecting that someone is going through something. And let's face it, you know, there's a lot that we could be going through right now. With the pandemic, with issues surrounding it, with all of the stuff that we're finding out, you know, this affects people. And healing even if this is healing the polarity within, perhaps you've been struggling with something that you can't really get a very good perspective on, and you keep coming up, you know, with feeling like you're in crisis mode over it maybe. And realistically, maybe it's just a matter of perception and getting above it all and letting higher self guide you, having the divine wisdom within be the voice of reason that you listen to, basically, instead of, you know, being constantly bombarded by the ego's judgment. You know, then maybe something is starting to break for you that way. But again, this could also be something that is between you and someone else. And lastly, we have another 9 card. So really, it feels like something is ending today based on higher self-awareness. And that's what you're looking at here. You're looking at the 9 of Wands. And again, you see another line of demarcation. You see the 8 wands behind him, or the 8 staffs, and he's holding one. You can see that he's really been through the battle. You see his bandage head there. He's also got a bandage on his arm. So the struggle is ended, but the thing about it is, and this is where I think the Hermit card can come in to help the situation in terms of getting above things. Also today's seven numerology, standing back, observing, and really understanding the bigger purpose here of what's really going on, in order to then heal the emotions that you've been feeling. But here it's like, is it really over? Are we sure? To me, it's like this furtive glance backwards. You see this system of support there, but, you know, it's like, okay, are you there? Are you with me? I mean, the 9 of Wands is really about order and alignment and support and strength, but it could also be an inner battle that you're working with. And again, if that's where this is going, and it could go either way, either inner or external with somebody else, but this sort of signifies maybe more of an inner battle, you know, than and really an end to that, the end to that struggle. And in fact, ideally, maybe we should have looked at the 2 9s together, and then had this. It might have made more sense. But somewhere along the line, something is healing in terms of your emotions and your perceptions, and you can then move ahead on a new path, perhaps, or in a new direction with new perceptions, new awareness, from the standpoint of full clarity and the light of spirit guiding that whole experience. I think that we get focused in on things, and you start to realize that maybe that's the issue, that it's not, it's the unwillingness to see from another person's perspective. Maybe that's one of the things I like about the 2 of Cups. You're really talking about some reciprocity there, and you're allowing for the other side of it all to be known and to be heard and to be felt, instead of just, you know, it constantly reacting from the standpoint of ego, and this is the only way to see this. You know, there could be some of that involved. Because once you let down your guard there, you know, what do you have? You know, you have maybe something that is that you're awakening to. That's another aspect of Kenaz, awakening and illumination. But let's go ahead and take a look at the card that because this is a really easy reading here today. There's not really a whole lot to talk about. It's like, well, okay, you need to get above it all. You need to let the divine voice within guide your hand and guide your path and guide your viewpoint on this 7 numerology day. And you know, things are starting to end, and they're starting to heal once you do that. You can see it from a different angle. And I know when we used to teach Kempo, that's just another system in karate, at Parker's Kempo, and there were 3 perspectives within that. There was the opponent, the defender, and then there was the bystander. And so in a sense, the hermit is the ultimate bystander. But in this case, you know, because the bystander's going to see what's going on in front of them from a different perspective than the person who's defending and the person who's attacking, right? And so in a sense, you have to be that for yourself, especially if it's something you're involved in. You have to step back and take a look at things from a different perspective. And when you do see, then you can, you know, the battle within ends, and you can then, you know, come back to peace and reciprocity and healing, either within or without, with someone else. Let's look at the card that challenges us, though, and I'm going to take the 13th one for this one and the next one for some randomness. And 13's my number, so... Well, we have the Devil. Again, let's take a look at this guy. It's an Aries type of an influence that's maybe on steroids, a Rubius one if you're looking at it from the geomancy standpoint. Rubius is misuse of force. And although that's not, the geomancy rune for today, that's sort of the energy here. We see the devil perched upon a little post here. You see the ring with the chains here, each one attached to the man and the woman. But again, here you're allowing reciprocity, you're allowing healing. The challenge is to let go of perception and to let go of the ego side of self, basically, so that you can then, come back together in love and harmony and reciprocity. But they're just adorable. This is an as above, so below card, only in this case, the light is pointing downward toward form and toward ego. You have a 6 energy there, but it's basically about how are you going to harmonize the ego with spirit? And in this case, it needs to be transmuted into spirit so that you don't stay stuck in the perception that got you to where you are right now, the one that needs to be healed. So far we've got 2 major arcana cards. The major arcana we look at as soul archetype cards. And the rest of them then are just the nuts and bolts, the little details of our lives that we need to just sort of pay attention to help mold our experiences. But, when you see that a lot, the devil along with the hermit, it's really getting above all of that, getting above the ego and understanding the challenge that this is. You see the as above, so below position, one hand up, one hand below with the magician as well. But in that case, the magician is pointing his wand towards spirit versus the devil pointing his torch toward form. And one more thing about this card before I take the card that benefits us here. I wanted to point out the pentagram that's inverted above. All this means, this does not mean Satanism. It doesn't mean anything like that. What this means is the point of the, instead of the point of the star being pointing toward spirit, it's just pointing toward form or ego. That's all that means. So that's the challenge, if you really think about it, isn't it? That how much of our ego is going to influence the decisions we make and the separation we're willing to endure between people. It's generally speaking, if it's maybe because something happened, there was conflict and someone has hurt feelings, that's still an egoic type of an experience. You're staying stuck in the moment, which now is now the past, and you're not allowing for any possibility of resolution. And of course now there's always times where the thing that has happened is so serious that there has to be a change and maybe a break with that person. So it's not that I'm advocating that you align with everybody all of the time. There are times when maybe it's not safe to do so with that person. So obviously that's a time where you have to heal the damage that's taken place within you, but whatever happens with that other person really isn't relevant to any of that. They've got to deal with what they did and accept the consequences for that. And if it means that they lose you in their life, then that's what it means. But that's just part of the learning process. Well, of course, the benefit is once you can heal the ego within and transmute ego into spirit, then I think then you can come into a situation where you have more compassion and generosity and support for other people. Now, I don't always interpret the king this way. The King of Cups can be very passive-aggressive, sort of non-committal. But the other side of him is wise and loving and generous and spiritual. And so you can take in other words, if you think of this in terms of authority, you're gathering your own authority about you, and you're not allowing ego to, your higher authority will say, especially considering the hermit, the higher authority is there, and you're grabbing onto that and emulating that and invoking that in your life, as opposed to, you know, and so you're taking that authority, if you will. Think about it that way. You're not being led around by the ego. You have the higher self-awareness to say no and to reject all of that, and allow only spirit to inform the whole process. But here you see him. He's got a golden chalice, just like in the two of cups. Cups is the emotions, or the water element. You can see him literally floating practically there on the water. He's also holding a golden scepter over here, very similar to the larger cup here. But I think that the benefit here is that we wise up, and we realize that especially if forgiveness can be part of the issue, it's almost like he's asking her forgiveness here. And he's meeting her halfway and wanting to heal the rift within. Now, if you look at this as masculine and feminine polarity, maybe masculine polarity or projective polarity has gotten out of control and gone into the area of the ego, and you need to heal that rift within and allow the receptive presence within to then receive that act of healing or reciprocity. That's the other side of the coin. You know, if someone offers that and you can't receive it, then that may illustrate an issue as well. But if we're going to go along, if we're going to enter a new path based on clarity, then I think that at some point, either you have to resolve the issue within and come to terms with it and understand the overall picture of it all. Even if you cannot come back into harmony with somebody else, at least you can stop the struggle within over what's happening. So I'm looking at this from both sides of the coin here, from both angles, because, you know, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know if this has to do with somebody else, or if this is just something you're struggling with within. But the bottom line is the light is there. Kenaz aligns very well with the hermit and his Merkaba up here in his lantern, the light of spirit illuminating everything for the world, giving the world a chance to understand the greater picture from the standpoint of spirit and divinity, that you can then, we're going to do it. We're going to go here to the next 9 card. I moved it around. You can't see that because my table's below here, but I moved it over. We're going to let go of the battle, especially if it's an inner one. And we're going to, well, okay, I need to stop and hook these together. Okay, so what happened is my screen froze. I'm going to hook these two together because I was ending the reading. And all I was trying to say here is that when you can get above everything and you can see the bigger picture, especially if you see it without the ego's influence, then maybe you can find a way to forgive somebody, whether or not you get back into their life or invite them back into your life or not. That's really a secondary issue here. Forgiveness and allowing your emotions to settle about something is more important, and to let go and to not stay fixed and focused on something from the past that has happened, because all too often your focus is there, you're not looking forward, you're certainly not paying attention to the present moment. And so that's really what I'm saying, I guess, overall here for the reading for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and it's going to appear a little choppy when I hook them together, but I'm only so good at doing that yet. So anyway, thanks for watching, and what I'll probably do is I'll cut off the very tail end where it froze, or maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I can just hook them together. So if you see that little jump there, that's what you're seeing. So anyhow, listen, we'll get together on Thursday, come back again, and we'll see what we have for that day. I'll do a write-up on this over on the Patreon page, as well as post this video over there. It'll also be posted on the side panel of the blog over at Stepping Aside. Everywhere I am is underneath the video. So if you want to follow me there, I do tend to follow back unless I just don't see it. But I guess that's it for a Monday. Not a bad way to begin, really. And we'll talk again Thursday. So thank you so much for coming by. And again, click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.